During this week's show, we tap into off-world knowledge to better understand the four stages of awakening and the symptoms that they typically create. This is a chance to identify where we are on our own personal journey and what to expect next. Then we open up the hidden world of Antarctica, where there are multiple government bases and huge secrets that have been completely hidden from view, assisted in part by the 1959 Antarctic Treaty, the no-fly zone, and many cover-ups and covert initiatives. This is to stop the broader swathe of humanity realizing what is truly going on there, and it is simply incredible. The ultimate truth also reveals the hidden history of humanity and the manipulation that has been perpetrated for thousands of years to keep us so much less than we are. This now gets exciting because the final outcome for humanity is a return to heaven on earth, or at least it is for those that choose it, and the nexus point of change draws very close. That decision all comes down to our own personal frequency. So understanding the unfolding of this shift of the ages is key to maintaining our divine neutrality, as that allows us to keep our frequency high, which enables us to remain at the helm of our own journey rather than giving away our power. Yeah, so an exciting one today. We have got the awakening stages. So this is really interesting because it's a chance for you to interrogate yourself as to where you are on your journey, right? Because we're all into some sort of awakening stage because, put it this way, if you were living in blissful ignorance, the chances are that you wouldn't be here with us right now. So therefore, you have at the very least spiritual curiosity, and then there are various stages that build out from there. And we've got a section with Elizabeth April that covers that off. And again, just for those who may be less familiar with Elizabeth's work, she is a remote viewer extraordinaire. I think she is wonderful at what she does, and she reports back to her community. And she has this once a month one that she does where she connects with the Galactic Federation of Light, and some very interesting information comes from that. And I was subscribed to that and get the inside track. It's through her elizabethapril.com website rather than on YouTube. But yeah, fascinating information. And so we always like to tap into Elizabeth's work. This is what we're going to do then, guys. We are going to go through to this first section. So if you bear with me a second, and then we'll see you on the other side.
She's saying that there are like three main stages that humans are going through right now. Okay. Obviously, there are a ton of different areas and stages, whatever that people are going through. If you resonate with one of these stages, comment below and like, let's see where the community is at. She said stage one is where people are obsessed and focused on the elites, the shadow government, the reptilians, the UAP files, the Epstein files, the conspiracies, the agendas, and not just like hyper focused on it, but like, yeah, like that is like that's their rabbit hole that they're going down. Like obviously questioning everything, but a lot of fear, a lot of like, fuck the government energy, a lot of like, I don't want to be here anymore, a lot of like even apathy of like, there's nothing I can do about this. They're too powerful. Here I am. Okay. So there's that stage. And then obviously the stage before that, that she didn't even bring up is just people in complete blissful ignorance, which is like a lot of people. But we're talking about this community in particular. So stage one, right? Like conspiracies, agendas, rabbit hole, red pill, blue pill type of vibe. Stage two is hold on. Yeah, so it's stage two is the purging and the detoxing from the lower frequencies. So it's a lot of health issues, a lot of exhaustion, a lot of lack of motivation, a lot of like internal contemplations, anxiety, even like borderline depression, like just this feeling of complete nothingness. Like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. I don't know what left versus right is. I don't know what up versus down is. I don't know where I'm going. Like, nothing is fulfilling, nothing is satisfying, and you're just at a complete loss. But then also the health issues, a lot of health issues. Your hair's falling out. You have headaches, you have body aches, you're in and out of the hospital, you have weird sort of inflammation places, you're really hungry, you're not hungry, you're throwing up, all the things, okay? That's the second stage. And she said that's the stage of purging. You're purging out, like you've got nothing left because every ounce of your being is releasing, okay? And that's when you're like in between sort of the old self and the new self. And then stage three, okay, when you do really start to be like, okay, well, something's got to give. Like, I have to change my life. I have to find my focus. I have to, like I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I want change. That statement, I want change. I am ready for change. I fucking deserve change. I deserve a better life. It changes everything. I'm not even kidding. It's not something you just say, it's something you feel. When you get to that point, watch out. She's saying that the third stage is like literally a spiritual up leveling, which you would think sounds great. It's not great. I'm telling you right now, it's not great. My lovely dear friend is going through just the most intense spiritual awakening. So it's like, and she's been an astrologer for a long time, and now all of a sudden it's like boom, like next level. It is hearing things, seeing things, wild, vivid dreams, getting contacted by extraterrestrials in your dreams. It's insomnia, it's anxiety, it's hypersensitivity, it's not being able to handle anyone's bullshit anymore. It's all of that. It's like seeing shit out of the corner of your eye, you know? It's like, oh my, am I going crazy? Like, what is happening? Um, so spiritual up-leveling or spiritual awakening, like it sounds fun. It's not fun. It's like not a good time. It's not. And then she was talking about how after that, you ground back into your body, you anchor into the new frequency, and then you're like, fuck yeah, it is go time. New opportunities, new people, new friends, new manifestations, new abundance, new motivation, new energy, and you're just go, go, go. Okay? She's talking about those stages. Where are you guys at right now? It's okay. It's okay to be in any one of those stages. You're definitely not in the blissful ignorance stage, or else you literally wouldn't be here. So you're definitely in one of those four, I would say. Okay. I think she just needed to lay that out. All right, cool. Thank you so much, Mika. That was amazing. Try and remove yourself as much as possible from the agendas and the conspiracies in the world. I said this actually in a recent video, and then we'll move on. I said, if you have an emotional reaction to my content, to especially the conspiracy content, if you have a negative emotional reaction to the agendas and conspiracy content, then you might want to take a bit of a break from it. Because what that means is you're not just objectively observing it like I do, right? For the most part, every once in a while I have a little tantrum. But you're feeding it your energy through your emotional reaction. And I don't want to do that to you. And it's not good to do that in general. And this is what Mika was saying.
Interesting, isn't it? I like the point again that Elizabeth finished with there, talking about conspiracy theories, about how, it depends how you take them on board. Because, I personally, I do enjoy listening to conspiracy theories. An interesting point, actually, saw this yesterday. A guy from the CIA, who was a whistleblower, went to prison for whistleblowing, and he was talking about that, and he was saying that a few decades ago, the CIA actually created the term of conspiracy theories because it was a way of discrediting anything that was being investigated. Honestly, quite rightly, most of the time. Again, you have to, you exercise discernment because there is just as much disinformation out there as there is genuine information. So you have to find out what feels right. That's the point, right? It's not what, and again, this is looking through the lens, not through the lens of the ego. That's important because the ego will try and railroad you back into the programming and conditioning that we've had over the decades. This is a different time. This is where we don't rely on the old ego. right? This is where we transcend the ego and we get back to the heart-based consciousness, right? That's where our true measure of discernment sits. So, and interesting, the next section is actually a conspiracy theory or conspiracy fact. And we will be going into that. So again, if you have an aversion to that sort of thing, if you get triggered, then bear that in mind. But it's fascinating information, and it kind of like, to me, I just look at these things as very upbeat because this is reflecting the present, but also past history. But it also tells us why things are changing and how they're changing. So to me, there's a lot of really valuable information within this. And of course, you have to also decide whether it's going to be truth or deluded nonsense for you as well. Again, resonating at this point here. So going through these four stages of awakening. Now, I do remember my blissful ignorance stage, and that was all the way up to, what would it have been? I suppose all the way up to 2018 was kind of pretty much blissful ignorance. I was stuck in the world of, I say stuck in the world. I was working in the world of finance out in the United States, and I loved the job actually. I really got an awful lot out of working in the international finance arena for many decades because I just got to sort of experience so many different things in so many different cultures across what we were doing because it was very international. And so it really was a good training ground. But I was in that blissful ignorance stage. Never knew any of this stuff. It was just woo woo nonsense. Why would anybody believe that sort of rubbish? Then 2018, the gates were blown off that particular version of reality, and I realized I had to go for a complete rethink. And 2020, early 2020, then Jolay popped into my life at a reading, and everything then is like just snowballed from there. I love, love, love this journey. So then going into this conspiracy theories, yeah, absolutely. Conspiracy theories, conspiracy facts in some cases. I have found it fascinating, but I don't find that it triggers me. You know, I do find that I think my general setting these days is kind of more like a feeling of liberation and joy because I'm not having to do the day job anymore. So I'm kind of allowed the freedom to think more openly. And having researched this stuff now for 8 years plus, you start to realize there's a fabulous time ahead of us just awaiting because we are awakening to the magnificence of who we are. And we are magnificent, right? It's amazing. That's why I get so excited about it. So going through this though, so conspiracy theories, I've definitely been through that lot. Purging and detoxing. And I was trying to think about this, certain health issues and that. Minor, relatively minor. I'd like to think I've transcended that stage, but I can't think of having gone through what felt like the health issues, the low energy. I always get it that from time to time, right? Because everything is like cyclical. Sometimes you're on the low point, sometimes you're on the high point. And then the purging and detoxing, and then the that point where you say, I want change. I am ready to change my life, and that spiritual up leveling takes place, which doesn't sound like very much fun at all. Now, and it got me thinking, have I bypassed that somehow? Because, I do feel like I'm ground into the new frequency. I'm in that phase of go, go, go. But I don't know because, and here's one of my theories. As a left brainer, as a man, I think that I am less emotionally sensitive than many are. And typically, the feminine side of things is more open, very right brain, and that's more creative, more emotionally sensitive, more empathic. And I think somehow I might have been insulated from that to a degree just by being a man who's kind of a little bit more not totally immune to it at all. And but I try and tune into all the high frequencies. I always try and I mean, I love life, right? I mean, I love the fact that we have this opportunity to step into our power. And I feel that that is the journey that we're on. We're starting to uncover the truth of who we are. And it's a joyous thing. It's a liberating thing. It's something that brings us freedom. But it's not immediately from mainstream version of reality to whom this would seem like, deluded nonsense, all the way through to the very side of it. And I know there's plenty of people out there who've been on this journey for many decades, you know, and like unlike me, I've been doing this for like 8 years and a bit. But for those who've been on it for many decades, you know, they understand this stuff more than I do. But hey, I'm not complaining because, you know, I've just loved this journey and I'm grateful to that we've got our community and I'm working with Jolie. With that said, I am going to bring Jolie back for your thoughts. What do you reckon, Jolie?
That's a beautiful story about how you began to awaken. And I think it's a lot for us, similar. It was me, it was after 9/11, and I went down that rabbit hole very deep. And it took me to energy healing because I said, I saw the ninth gate, and that movie really transformed my desire. I did not want to find Satan or go down, I wanted to go towards the light. So then I would say that's a pivotal moment for me. And also being ill, and not knowing what the reasons are behind it. As above, so below. So there's this emotional intelligence and spiritual development that takes place in order to really heal. I'm still in the process of that, but all of us, we have these similar stories because the creator is saying to you, come back home. Remember who you are. I am within you. All of that stuff, a conspiracy, it's there. I want you to understand, forgive yourself, love yourself, let go of the shame and the guilt, and work towards your purpose, right? So it is a beautiful, those four stages that she speaks about is really, yeah, it's challenging, but once you're on the other side of them, it is really giving you your sovereignty and your freedom to remember, And she says another thing I love, which is deserving, right? And so, that to really feel that on a deep level is something that we want to cultivate as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fascinating journey, and you know, I would encourage anybody that has a clear idea of where they are on the path and any comments they want to share, please do drop it in the comments below. Always interested to hear how the community is getting along with these things.